You know how every single NFL draft has them? The can't-miss prospects. The guys that everyone, and I mean everyone, anoints as the next big thing. But what if all that hype is just a mirage?
Yeah, if you look back, history tells a completely different story. Top prospects flame out all the time. And it's usually not because they lack talent. It's because teams fall in love with the idea of a player instead of the reality of what they've actually put on tape.
And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. We're going to look past the flashy highlight reels and dig into the data to uncover the real risks that come with some of the biggest names in the 2026 draft class.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll talk about that core conflict in scouting, potential versus reality. Then, we're going to dive deep into 5 specific players, looking at the numbers behind the hype. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with our final verdict.
Okay. First things first, we have to understand this fundamental battle that every single front office has to fight during the draft. It is the absolute classic showdown, what a player could be versus what they've already proven they are.
So on one side, you've got the hype. It's intoxicating, right? Raw physical traits, unlimited upside, all that potential. But on the other side, you've got the cold, hard data, consistent on-field production, and, well, measurable risk. And for our purposes today, we're going to plant our flag firmly in that second column.
And really, there's no better place to start than with the most important position in all of sports. Let's take a closer look at one of the most talked about QBs out there, Dante Moore.
And look, the talent is absolutely undeniable. You turn on the film and the arm strength, the super clean mechanics, that just natural ability to throw the football, it all just jumps right off the screen. It's so easy to see why scouts are drooling over him.
But here's where the data starts to show a potential crack in the armor. Just look at what happens when the situation isn't perfect. When he's kept clean in the pocket, his numbers are elite. But the second he's under pressure, that completion percentage absolutely plummets into the low 50s. That is a massive drop-off.
And why does that drop-off matter so much? Well, it's because of this number right here. In the NFL, guess what? Quarterbacks face pressure on roughly a third of their dropbacks. Being able to perform when things are chaotic isn't some nice little bonus. It's a basic job requirement.
And it doesn't stop there. There's another layer to this problem. His decision-making tends to break down when his first read gets taken away, and that leads to more interceptions. So right now, he's a guy who thrives when everything goes according to plan, but that's a luxury he just won't have on Sundays.
All right, let's move on and see how this theme keeps popping up. Next, we're going to look at a couple of incredible athletes whose physical gifts might just be hiding a pretty serious lack of actual on-field production.
So first up is wide receiver Nyck Harbor. And let me tell you, this guy is without a doubt one of the most impressive physical specimens in the entire class. We're talking about almost 6'5" with legit world-class track speed. He's the kind of player you'd literally build in a video game.
Now, before we get to his numbers, we need to quickly talk about a key metric. It's called yards per route run, and it's all about a receiver's efficiency. It's not just about how many yards you get in a season. It's about how much damage you do every single time you run out for a pass. Just for context, the really elite college guys are consistently hitting 2.5, even 3.0 or higher in this stat. It's a huge indicator of dominance.
And this is where the big red flag goes up. Despite all that jaw-dropping athleticism, Harbor's actual production efficiency, his yards per route run, is way, way behind the other top prospects. See, he's being valued for his traits, not his proven performance. And history tells us that's a really, really risky bet to make.
And we see the exact same pattern with our next player, edge rusher Shamar Stewart. Just like Harbor, he has all the elite physical tools you could ever dream of for his position.
But again, when you put his amazing traits right next to his production metrics, they just don't line up. He's got the ideal size, the explosiveness you want to see, but his sack totals and his pressure rates, they've been pretty inconsistent and frankly underwhelming for a guy with his kind of physical gifts.
And here's why that's so crucial. Unlike some other skills, the ability to get after the quarterback is one of the most directly translatable talents from college to the pros. If you do it consistently on Saturdays, you tend to do it on Sundays. Stewart has shown flashes, sure, but he hasn't shown that sustained dominance you want to see.
Okay, now let's shift gears and talk about a different kind of risk. For our next two guys, the concern isn't just about their play on the field. It's more about projecting their long-term value and, maybe more importantly, finding the absolute perfect schematic fit.
Let's kick things off with running back Quinshon Judkins. I mean, by any measure, this guy has been one of the most productive backs in the entire country. We're talking multiple 1,000-yard seasons, a ton of touchdowns. He's been a true workhorse.
But that workhorse label, it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? As this timeline shows, the peak performance window for an NFL running back is brutally short. Think about it. Every single carry is like mileage on a car, and a high volume in college often means you're burning through that tread before you even get to the pros. A team could be drafting a player who's already closer to the end of his prime than the beginning.
And finally, we have Harold Perkins Jr., one of the most dynamic, exciting defenders in college football. He makes these huge, game-changing plays, but the key is how he makes them. A really big chunk of his production comes from these very specific, schemed-up blitzes. So he's often given a clear runway to the quarterback instead of having to, say, diagnose a play, shed a block, and make a tackle like a traditional linebacker.
This chart really drives the point home. He's not consistently playing a traditional defensive role. He's more of a specialist, a weapon that gets deployed in very specific situations, and that creates a major projection risk. If his future NFL team can't, or maybe just won't, build that specialized system around him, all that game-changing impact he has could just disappear.
So, to bring this all together, when we say a player is overhyped, it doesn't mean they're a bad player or that they're guaranteed to fail. It just means the public expectation has gotten way ahead of what the data and the evidence actually support. And that creates this dangerous gap where draft day mistakes are made.
In the end, it's all about separating potential from actual production and separating traits from true performance. It's about looking past those amazing highlight reels to understand the real, measurable risks that are hiding in the numbers. So now I'm going to turn it over to you. Using this framework, which one of these prospects, or hey, maybe someone we didn't even mention, do you think carries the most risk? Let me know what you think.